We are going away from the mound. I have no idea if this is the correct vicinity for our next stop off point. I'm hoping it is. I'm trying to get a vantage point, a view somewhere, but at least I know there's a sidewalk. And I've seen the occasional walker, so I know that we're somewhere close. Cupola. Looking. I might have to go online and look. Well, we'll go this way. We'll look. I see a car. This could end really badly. Or it could be fine. We'll find out momentarily. I don't know what this means. Smile? Something under the care of the administration? Yeah, I don't know. But it's really muddy. And I feel like maybe this is why we're going in this direction. I think this will take me to where I need to be. Otherwise, I'm going to have a lot of walking. But so is life. Right? So is life. You guys have any good stories? Anything you want to share? Oh, crap. This is like someone's street. Well, I'm glad I changed direction. This actually worked out well. It's kind of cool. We found like those little garden home areas where people have their where they plant their vegetables and stuff and fruits. And I figured out we must be going the right direction because we switched over to cobblestone, and right across the way is where I want to be. I just need to get to the entrance, and then we'll get to explore one of the things that I usually do when I go to these cities. Cemeteries. Yeah. You guys explore cemeteries too, right? I mean, in a true walking tour fashion, that's what you're supposed to do. But specifically, I want to get over to the Jewish one. Now, it's going to be hit or miss. It might be locked up because I know when I went to Lublin, the cemetery was locked. And I only managed to get in there because there was a rabbi who was in there with his tourist group, and they borrowed the key from the place where they store it. And likewise, I've been to some other Jewish cemeteries throughout Poland, and I understand why that it's locked. I mean, the amount of anti-Semitism in Europe certainly remains, which sucks. But I will say this, they have picked a nice spot for a cemetery because we're going to get some vantage point looking out onto the fields. Check this out. Wow, we've come to a pretty cool spot. So you have like these older graves up here that have no like real order to them. But then as I turn right here, separated from the other ones, this is the German cemetery, the German war cemetery from World War II. Now, I don't know why we happen to go into the German one first of all places, but we are. And I don't know the history behind it. I don't know how many bodies are here or, like, what the purpose of having it here. But I do know that during World War I, go back to the previous war, or you could say the beginning of this longer war, because of the battle for the fortress here, there are actually like 4 different armies who have cemeteries here in this area. So we're passing through the German one, and then I'll show you right here to the side. Didn't plan it this way. I assume this is Polish. These are more like your everyday citizens that are now passing over. You note the trees they're planting. So in time, this will be a wonderful, well, I mean, it already is. It's very peaceful. Now, clearly time has not treated this area well, but there's just thousands of names inscribed on these rocks, on these stones here, and then right here. And you know what, though? I'm thinking to myself, the historian in me has finally realized why this would be here. The Germans held this area for 3 years. during Operation Barbarossa, when they invaded the Soviet Union, they would have set up shop here. So now this makes sense to me, because any war dead, they could have brought them back here and at least buried them here without bringing them all the way back to Germany. Huh. Now see this right here? I wish we could remove the ivy. Oh, actually, I have a feeling I know what this was. You want to take a guess? We'll leave that one open for interpretation. In comparison, so you have these German ones, but then look at this right here. Look at this. Vichnaya pamięć. Gerent Pusev. I don't know. Is that Cyrillic? Interesting, because you have a mix here of different types of writing, and these graves are definitely a lot different. I mean, look at the posts they have in place. Huh. It's eerie. Like, if I came across this at night, I would be probably pretty freaked out. I don't know why either. Just different type of energy here on this rainy day. And stupid me, I'm now trudging through a wet, old cemetery. Gosh. Now, across from the German cemetery that we just hit is the Austrian one. You see Austrian-Hungarian, the Magyars. This is from World War I. And we can walk down there. I'm trying to figure out how to... You'll note, I think they're just mass graves, is how they set them up. We'll go in through this entrance. I'm trying to get to the big one. Not that there's some, cemeteries that are cooler than others, but we're going to will ourselves to the Jewish cemetery. But before we do that, I am so fascinated by this, and I don't know why, and I always have to highlight it because I think it's so cool. I love when they put pictures. Just brings me back. I love it. Bless you. Like right here, like look at this family. Parents, children. There's something very, I don't know, soothing. So the Austrian-Hungarian one is right here. And see, all they did is they just put crosses and probably thousands of bodies. Because as I said, during the battle, specifically the battle, during the siege that lasted 174 or 173 days, I mean, there were thousands of people that died. I forget how many of the 125,000 actually survived. Wow, look at this. What a beautiful cemetery. Oh, I love it. It reminds me a little bit of the XXIa one, but it's better. Not that we're rating cemeteries, but I guess I am. And what I love here that we don't really do as much in the States, well, at least I've never seen it in the States, is the tradition of the candles. How in Poland, especially, on different holy days, and of course on the memories, like on the days of these people's births or celebrating their lives, they go out of their way to put all these candles. So all you see are candles. That's the one thing that I didn't get to do. I mean, I did have candles in my apartment that should have been here, but the thing that I miss, and I'll have to come back to Poland one day to do it, is I'll have to come here during Halloween when the families come here and they light candles for everyone. I want to be part of that. I forgot that they built this on a hill. Hey, it stopped raining. It stopped raining enough for me to talk to you. There's people here right now. So one thing that's interesting, I don't know if it's true here, but I know it is in Krakow, with some of the cemeteries, is like, what happens is, if, depending on how you paid for your plot, if the family didn't pay up, what they do is, they just they sell the plot to another family, and they bury the body on top of the other one. This is not much of a, this is not an area to be out for a run. It's so uneven. Wow. It's interesting to me, even though you're in this area of mourning, with the sound of the birds, there's so much life. Look at the statue. It's gorgeous. I really love cemeteries. With the rain and the birds, I feel like I'm in a rainforest today. Wow. So, for people that are still watching, what's your favorite cemetery? Like where have you visited that you're like, wow, I'm going to go back there? Or, like, where's your favorite cemetery that's not a cemetery for a loved one that you have visited that you're like, that place is amazing? I'm curious. Truly am. I feel like I'm just aimlessly walking now. There's so much... I mean, they have a map, but I clearly didn't look at it. And I'm just trying to will myself to the Jewish cemetery. It's not going to be kept up as well. Just saying. They typically aren't. We've learned that in our other locations that we have visited over this school year, which is a shame. Well, I know it's not over this wall. That's for certain. So that's good. We just have to look for the Star of David. That's kind of the giveaway. Now, if this is like other cemeteries in Poland, what they're going to have at their entrances, they will have vendors that will sell flowers, and they will have different tombstones you can choose from, and all this other assortment of stuff. I was going to say fun stuff, but it's really not fun. It's a cemetery. We're on the outside of that cemetery now. I love how it looks like it's a fortress, like protecting everyone. It's really cool. Well, I can't read the message here, but we did manage to find the front gate, at least, to the new Jewish cemetery. If you look down below, you can see the Star of David. And supposedly it's open from 8 to 6, but that's not the case. This padlock tells me something else. But if you look inside, you'll note it is definitely not as busy. But if you look right here, there's a sign, and it says mass graves. I wish I could check that out. Wow. So, not knowing anything about this cemetery, just looking at the tombstones that I see compared to the other ones that I have walked through, the other Jewish cemeteries, I'm saying this is all new, like newer. And then, as they said, the mass graves are back there from what happened during World War II. There's not a... I shouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm pleased that at least the wall is still in place, because when the Germans came into Poland and they systematically decided to eliminate the Jews, it was also what they would do is they wanted to erase the entire identity of them, and part of that was destroying the cemeteries so that nothing remained. If you go to Lublin, you would see that with their new Jewish cemetery is just a giant field with a memorial, and the old cemetery is a shell. It's awful. No. And on a happier note, the palace of Lubor-Mishkish, I mispronounced that really badly, is that way. We're going this way because I want to see if there's a way in. I'm not going to scale them. No. But I wanted to just see, just in case. Alright, so now this is a better vantage point. When I say like what the cemetery really is and what remains of it, here you go. Here's a good view. And you'll note it's not being kept up. So take a look. If I can get this to work. I don't know if you can see it. There's a tombstone directly there. And there's one to the left and the right. They are here. They're just covered. They're overgrown. And you can see what remains of like the pathways, the walkways. Come on, camera. Come other way, camera. Yeah, so if you were to climb over this wall, which we're not going to do, but if you were, what you would find would be what remains of the graves. They're completely overgrown. Now, I'm no idea why we're going this way. I don't even know what this is. I feel like I'm in the Blair Witch. God. Doesn't that seem creepy to you? It seems creepy to me. I guess this is the beginning of the Fort Trail, is what I'm understanding from this. And because you have part of the gates here, this was one of the gun turrets probably. But again, the Jewish cemetery, which my focus point was, is right here, right to the side. And we're kind of, if it wasn't so wet, honestly, I would climb up over this. But I'm already, it's like, see, it's not that high. But it kind of defeats the purpose. You want to honor the memory, and I don't think honoring the memory is jumping over a fence, breaking into a cemetery, right? And while I say that, I did find part of the wall that was destroyed, but I mean, knowing that the Jewish population made up 40% of the city, you know that it's a huge cemetery. I have no idea where we are now. I feel like I've lost one cemetery, and now we're in this. But, God, whose idea was it to do this? Oh, here we are. Now, if you look next to me, you see those rocks. Those are old tombs, old graves. And then, in comparison, the cross ones are doing okay. Doing okay. Now, as we walk back to the street, I did want to add, like, it's interesting how, as I said, like, so the Germans, they desecrated these burial sites. But one thing that's really surprised me in my travels this year is how it wasn't just the Germans that desecrated the sites. In Lithuania, after the Soviet Union kind of swallowed it, if you will, for lack of better words, and the regime decided that they needed to build all new housing and all this other fun stuff for their growing population and their industrialization workforce, blah, blah, blah. They actually took the stones from the Jewish cemetery in town and they cleared it out because they needed it for building materials, which I was shocked to have found out. But then when I was walking around, and you literally are just in this open park with only like 3 stones, and you're like, what happened to this huge area? Well, that's what happened. So, yeah. So it kind of put things in perspective that you'd think after World War II, there might have been more respect and place in this for what happened, yet they were still tarnishing the memories in different ways, like in Lithuania. All right, guys, I don't know about you, but we need to get some food. So, back into town. Sometimes I forget how far I walk. You know what I mean? Like when you're leaving your hotel and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to this location. And then you just kind of forget, you know, the distance you walk away, you have to walk back. But having said that, I just passed a water filter place and it made me laugh. I had a story I wanted to tell you guys. So I don't know if this is a Polish thing or if it's just the way the world works now. But so at my school, they had, oh look, hey, look behind me. The tourist group, they must know it's almost feeding time as well. Anyway, this week on like Thursday, yeah, maybe it was Thursday morning or it was Wednesday night. We got a memo saying not only could we not drink the water, we couldn't touch the water because of the microbes that were in it. And they had said that as of like something like the May 15th test, our section of town was not suitable for drinking. And I'm like, May 15th is June 15th. So they were going to run some other tests to check, but what I didn't understand is you guys are only testing water like once a week? Sorry, like once a month? Is that normal? And what concerns me even more is like you don't even want us touching the water, but who's been drinking the tap water for the last month? Washing his hands. This guy. So is that normal? Like, is that common practice in the major city regions that they don't do like regular water tests? I mean, granted, I don't have a right to judge. I mean, in the United States, we had the whole situation with Detroit. No, sorry, with Flint, Michigan. But I'm just pointing out that I would hope it's a little bit more frequent. I mean, at least in Flint, I think they knew the water was bad. They just didn't do anything about it, which made it worse. But this, it's like, wait a second. Like, what's the real story? And more importantly, what's the long-term effects for this guy? You know what I mean? All right, well, I'm back in town. You can see the beautiful buildings around me and almost a food. But I'm feeling pretty tired, so I think I'm going to call it for today. And I just want to say, hey, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that maybe you, well, not maybe. I hope that you enjoyed the tour. Kind of a weird tour, I mean, but hey, I thought it was fun. So thanks for coming, and until next time, peace.